Hello, everyone. We'll wait a few minutes to allow more people to enter the room. Hi, Barbara. I have to look off to the right. See people over here. And the camera's over here. Anyway, terrific. Terrific. We'll just wait a few minutes and settle quietly. I always wonder if there's anybody behind those black boxes. Who's in there? Who's in there? Okay. Oh, yay. Yay, yay. Hi, friends. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, yes. Great. So this is the second module in the FPMT Buddhist Mind Science new curriculum. There are 7 modules, and this is number 2. I taught the first module for Thupten Norbu Ling in Santa Fe in January. So just as a little bit of a recapitulation or a summary in order to bring those who attended the previous course, but also those who haven't yet attended the course, I'll just mention that this curriculum was designed by Marina Brusset and Hans Burkhardt. They're FPMT teachers at the Tushita, Spain Center. And they are scientists. So over the years, they created this with Lama Zopa Rinpoche's blessing. And I feel that Lama Yeshe would be thrilled at this presentation that really does bring Buddhism and science together. So in a harmonious way to facilitate the understanding and practice of Dharma. I think Lama would be very, very pleased. So the 4 main components of the curriculum are purpose, mental balance, warm-heartedness, and wisdom. These 4 different components are explored throughout the 7 modules, sort of building on one another, and yet holding those 4 throughout. So I think each time we begin with a meditation. So perhaps we'll start there. And I invite you, if you like, to join me, to please settle into your meditation seat, taking a comfortable position, and bringing your awareness to the place where you are right now. Conscious of how you're feeling now. And warmly welcome whatever is here. Attending to your posture. Allow your spine to lengthen to its natural extension, and your body to totally relax around it. Loosen and soften any areas of the body that are tense. And release all the concerns of the past, what will come next. Relaxing. And notice how relaxation actually has a direct influence when tightness releases and stress, anxiety subsides, bringing greater ease. Sometimes it's useful to take a deep breath, bringing presence and exhaling, releasing. A relaxed body supports a friendly relationship with the mind. And now begin to feel the rhythm of your breath, effortless and natural. Simply observing without needing to change anything. Notice how the breath enters and how it leaves. The simple rhythm of life flowing through you. Notice where the breath appears most distinctly for you, perhaps at the nostrils or the abdomen, and allow your attention to settle right there. Attending to the sensation of the breath flowing naturally without any force or impedance. Nothing to fix, nothing to want. Right there, peacefully attending to the breath. Sounds and sensations appear without rejecting or blocking them. Simply knowing. And for a few minutes, just the sensation of the breath, wherever it manifests most distinctly for you, as the body breathes naturally. Rest on just that sensation in silence. With a peaceful mind, we consider our purpose, the reason why we're here, the underlying aspiration for well-being, the underlying wish to be free from suffering. This is a wish we share with every living being. Because we are social beings, inextricably connected to one another, depending on others, we realize that they also want happiness and not to suffer. So we can extend the wish for our own happiness to include others. May our participation in this course bring greater well-being and less suffering to ourselves, to others, and to the world. We set this as our motivation, our direction. Perfect. Thank you. In the first module, which we taught in January, we began the discussion with this common ground that we share with all sentient beings, this wish for happiness and not to suffer. But the truth of the matter is, even though we want it, we're not always happy. So if we were to say we wish to cultivate, this is our purpose, to cultivate lasting happiness for ourselves and others, we might wonder, is it possible? When I asked that question last January, I saw some people went, huh, and some people went, and some people went, don't know. So when the Buddha awakened, he gave his very first teaching to the group of ascetics with whom he had been practicing. And this teaching, known as the Four Noble Truths or the Four Arya Truths, clearly indicate that happiness, lasting happiness, is possible. Because he said, in the circle of life, there is suffering. It has a cause, it has a cessation, and there's a path to that cessation. Well, so that indicates that if we get rid of the cause, we get rid of the suffering. Happiness is a state of well-being, contentment. This is Webster's definition. And contentment is ease of mind, satisfaction. So how do we cultivate ease of mind, satisfaction, contentment, well-being? We use the tool of meditation to cultivate the causes of happiness and eliminate the causes of suffering. We can see in our own experience that when we're caught in afflicted emotions, we're more narrow-minded, obsessed, irritated, frustrated, angry. We feel dissatisfied. We feel suffering. We feel agitated. We experience greater suffering. And we can also see that under those circumstances, we don't make the best decisions in our life when we are consumed by these mental afflictions. and we are not the best version of ourselves. So we could see, as we went through the first module, that following mental afflictions is not a source of happiness. It's a source of dissatisfaction and suffering. And we could see that through our own experience. That when we're at peace, it takes a lot more when we feel at ease and happy with ourselves. It takes a lot more for us to become agitated. But if we're feeling critical of ourselves, judgmental of ourselves, we're feeling unhappy, agitated, then it's quite easy for anger to flare. How we respond to the circumstances and the experiences in our life come from the mind. And we can see this through our own experience. So we also noted that we exaggerate. We exaggerate the good qualities of the things we like and the negative qualities of the things we don't like. And then we grow our attachment to what we like and our aversion to what we don't like. So this continues the cycle of suffering, growing our attachment and our aversion. And we also listed positive states of mind, such as having an open mind, inner satisfaction, clarity, contentment, freedom, warm-heartedness, wisdom, that these are all attitudes that lead to happiness. They're conducive for a sense of well-being. And we learned that these arise from our own inner experiences. So throughout this course, we continue to cultivate purpose, mental balance, warm-heartedness, and wisdom as the foundation for establishing a happy life. Now we're entering into the second module, and the main focus here is developing mental balance, calming the mind, working with emotions. So we might ask ourselves, do we always have the freedom to choose what we pay attention to? Do we? We could think, what are the implications if we don't have that choice? How do we tame the mind to be able to choose? How do we create a healthy emotional life? Buddha told his disciples, you must investigate, you must explore, you must analyze how the mind fabricates its experience of the world. How the mind fabricates its experience of the world. What does that mean? It means that we are fabricating our experiences. It's interesting. So we use the tool of meditation, of inquiry, through meditation, to explore, to answer the questions of how do we train the mind and how do we stabilize our attention. I don't know what your experience was for the very first meditation. I think it was maybe 5 minutes. Were we able to stay on the breath? Or did we find that there were things that seemed more interesting? So let's just do another meditation and see. 5 minutes. Okay? So again, please take a comfortable seat. Notice the sensations within the body and purposefully release tension. I find scanning from the crown right down through the center of the body with a warm light is useful to come all the way to the soles of the feet and breathe into any tension that I might encounter. And with a relaxed mind and body, we fine-tune our awareness by attending to the sensation of the breath wherever it manifests most distinctly. Go there. Direct your attention right there. And let the sensations there be the field of your experience. Gather your attention there. And we sit in silence, right there, as the breath in and back out again. If counting is useful, count a full cycle, breathing in and out as one, coming to 10 and beginning again. Good. Now you bring your awareness back to your body and to the present moment and to this place where we are. And then look. What was your experience? Were you able to remain on the breath through the entire meditation? Do I see a thumbs up? Do I see a no? I see some thumbs down. So, what happens? Are we distracted by sounds? We have a chat. If you want to chat your experience and tell me what takes you away. Oh, yes. Yes, starting to think about what we need to do before work tomorrow. Yes, yes, yes. Future, the future. Random thoughts, absolutely. Yes, 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 random. Yes. So what happens when these thoughts come? Because as Milarepa said, you don't stop thoughts. You cannot stop thoughts. You cannot put them in an iron box and lock them. They come. So if that's true, then how do we cultivate our attention on the breath when thoughts come? We're distracted by thoughts, by sounds, by impulses. Can we stop these distractions? Or can we allow them to be and entertain the idea that actually the breath is the most interesting thing? The ability to focus the mind on a chosen object is a type of freedom. It's freedom from those distractions. So we may decide that we will focus on the breath, but the mind goes a-wandering. It's distracted by a noise or a sensation or a thought or a memory. Future planning. Typically, Buddha said, mostly we're sleepwalking. We're focused on our future or on our past, ruminating over what went on before or what we plan to do next. So this is what we're exploring. We're exploring. This is about, there's not an answer here. This is an investigation which we must, the conclusion we reach ourselves. But it's useful to understand these obstacles as we proceed. There's this relatively new science, neuroscience. I say relatively new. It's been around for a while, but there's a lot of research, but there's not much definitive knowledge. So what we know about neuroscience is that mental wandering, even when we try to focus, is normal. Oh, good. We're not abnormal. No. It happens. We tend to wander towards things that we find pleasant, but we also wander towards things that we find unpleasant. The things I said, the things he said, the things she said, what they did, what that other person did, what happened, what I want, what I don't want. So we keep ourselves busy. The mind keeps itself busy with random thoughts, many random thoughts, many random thoughts. So in neuroscience, this is related to an area of the brain that's called the default mode network. And so this is important because it's not only responsible for our mental wandering or our distractions, but it's also related to depression and anxiety, which studies show are more prevalent the busier we are. So when our lives are very busy, the default mode network is very busy, more difficult to focus. So this is interesting because studies show that meditation seems to lessen the activity of this network, which reduces mental wandering, increases focus, and brings less stress and anxiety. So we might say, in general, meditation is a stress reducer. Eh? Yeah, maybe. So this comes through observation with skilled meditators done in a controlled setting with skilled technicians. So monitoring to see. So there's another study that, and this is, I find fascinating, that subjects were asked to focus on a particular task. And the studies found that it was more pleasant to focus on the work than it was to allow the mind to just wander, even though it might have been wandering on something pleasant. But it was more pleasant, actually, to focus. So if you wash the dishes and focus on washing the dishes, it's more pleasant than allowing the mind to wander to random topics, getting distracted. So if we consider this when it comes to meditation, the implication of that when it comes to meditation, because I think we've probably all experienced at one time or another being bored with meditating on the breath, one object. We have experienced that. And so a thought comes that's more interesting, and we go there. It doesn't matter what that thought is, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, but it's more interesting than the breath. And so we think, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll go on this holiday, I'll buy that, I like this. What color should the new curtains be? I remember spending some time remodeling when I was in meditation, redecorating. So we may attempt to focus on our object, and then when something more interesting arises, boom, we go right there. It seems that it's more pleasant to do that, to distract ourselves. But science advises that mental wandering is actually less pleasant than focusing on a particular task. So eventually, if we continue to focus on our practice, we may find an inner peace, a sense of calm, a sense of satisfaction. And if we can identify that, for me, if I identify the fact that being present in the moment without distraction is a beautiful place to be, I'm more inclined to go there and to stay there. But if I begin to see boredom coming, and I allow the mind to go off in another direction, I must bring it back time and time again. Studies have shown that there is a certain sense of well-being that comes by focus, by mechanical, repetitive behavior. So that's why people like running or swimming, getting in the zone, this feeling of flow, being really present, dancing to the music, getting right there with the groove. So in meditation, maybe at some point you actually are in the zone. You're with the breath, you're there. And then something, a distraction comes, and we go there. The training is in recognizing that and coming back. And realizing that it actually feels more pleasant to remain focused. So we leave it alone. It comes, the thought comes, what do I have to do for work tomorrow? But we see it come, but now I'm focused on the breath. Thank you so much. And we stay. We don't engage. We come right back. As soon as we find that we have become distracted, which we will, we welcome ourselves back to the breath. It's a training. It is very much like training a puppy to stay. And the treat is that you tell yourself, good job. Good. Thank you. So it's an ongoing training. It's an ongoing training. So this isn't just in Buddhism. This idea has been, what did they say? I think 4,000 years ago, they started discussing these techniques of coming back to the present. So there are executive functions that neuroscience talks about. 3 main executive functions: working memory, cognitive flexibility, and inhibitory control. And these 3 are related to how we live our life. So with working memory, we use memory to do something, to remain on a task, to make decisions, to plan, to problem solve. And with cognitive flexibility, we can change our opinion about things. We can be creative. We have the capacity to take different perspectives, to see different situations. And with inhibitory controls, we inhibit distractions. We can say, stop. No, I won't follow that destructive emotion. We inhibit impulses. We manage our emotions. We focus our attention. And we organize our tasks. And all 3 of these are essential and important to be developed during our childhood. Otherwise, as adults, we can see it creates difficulties managing emotions or inhibiting impulses or staying on task, organizing tasks. So this is interesting because when we see people behaving in ways that show, we judge superficially, we criticize their behavior, but rarely do we take into account these executive functions that are underdeveloped, so to speak. So I think that helps with an attitude of cultivating this warm-heartedness, which we will be going into in future modules. But it also has a major implication for ethics. So for a Buddhist, Buddhism says, live an ethical life. That's fundamental. The higher training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom. We begin with ethics. So these executive functions, they help us pay attention, to choose what we pay attention to. They have the capacity to inhibit destructive emotions, destructive behaviors. So we can't separate concentration and ethics. I think sometimes in the modern mindfulness meditation, it's about blocking and remaining present and blocking. But this is really important to remember, that we shouldn't separate this idea of being focused with ethics. So if we want to develop focused attention, we do so on the basis of living an ethical life. We cultivate what that means. We learn what that means to live an ethical life. And studies of the brain corroborate the importance of all the executive functions, which are essential for proper development. There's a quote from William James, which I like very much, sometimes called the father of modern psychology. And the quote is, the faculty of voluntarily bringing back a wandering attention over and over again is the very root of judgment, character, and will. An education which improves this faculty would be the education par excellence. So obviously attention is very important, but we're talking about the ability to direct our attention where we want, to choose what we pay attention to. And we can see in the exercises that it's not so easy to do. It's very easy for the mind to wander, even when we've chosen to focus on the breath. Wandering is easy. It requires training. Attention requires training, because it's natural for the mind to wander. So usually, we deal with distractions by blocking. And the problem, and this is the inhibitory function, and that works, but if it's overused, it creates mental fatigue. If we're like, So mental fatigue is not simply feeling mentally tired, but it also creates physical fatigue. And if we keep experiencing mental fatigue, it may give rise to being emotionally drained or burned out. We can see this in our lives. So we have this inhibitory control, this ability, but with overuse, it is detrimental to our health. So since this is the normal way we block distractions, if we overexert and get depleted and feel fatigued, the body and mind need to rest. And we need to restore this ability. But often we don't rest enough, do we? So really, it's important not to block, and we'll see, but to allow without grasping. To allow, because we will see that thoughts have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. If we are fully attentive, we can see the truth of that. So let's do a little experiment on blocking distractions to see. So I'm going to have Susie put up a little slide. Now, I want you to find the pig that's in the center. And you find the pig. Now, once you locate it, right in the middle, then stay there. Right there on the pig. And we're going to stay there for 2 minutes. Okay, on the pig. It's an interesting a little exercise. Did you stay on the pig? Mm-hmm. Did you find you wanted to go just look a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right and maybe a little bit up and down? And there was an awful lot going on there in that picture. So we get to see how it takes really kind of an intensity to stay right there on that particular object. Say, please, what? You have a question? You have an idea? Yes, that pig. How to stay there. So we may have noticed that there's a tendency to move. Knowing that it was just 2 minutes gave us a little hope to be able to really kind of strong determination to stay. Yeah, yeah. To stare, yes. Exactly. Stay, stare, likewise, to stay. So if we were able to, it would be questionable whether we would, if we knew the pig was there and we were meant to stay on the pig, could we relax in the process of that? I didn't try that, but it's interesting. The point here is to not to block what's arising in the mind, not to block them, but to see them with equanimity. just as part of the process where the object of our meditation remains the most interesting thing that we're doing because we've made a determination to remain present. So we don't give our distractions any energy by either grasping them and giving them, following through by adding more of a story, or by rejecting them and blocking them and don't like, no, 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 no. So neither one of those. We don't give them any energy. So we remember the object and we return. No matter, even if we've already started making the list of what we're going to do the next day, or when we go to town, the shopping list, and we're already 10 items in, that doesn't matter. We can rejoice that we recognized, oh, right now, it's the breath. Come back, girlfriend. And we come back. And again. We don't give them any energy when they come. It's kind of like not serving tea when someone unexpectedly comes. You didn't invite. You see them, but they don't stay long. But we do actually begin to see how what's arising in the mind has no staying power unless we feed it. So we don't want to have this strong blocking, rejecting attitude, nor do we want to have a grasping attitude to the distractions that are coming, because we want to develop our concentration. So we think about the benefits of having concentration and the detriments of being just a wandering mind, having a wandering mind, because unconsciously we give power to our distractions. Whatever comes, we go there. We're attracted to them. So we have to train. We train. And normally, if we want to block, it gets tiring. We don't want to block. We just rest. If there's a lot going on, if there's so many thoughts coming, and we're resting on the breath, we relax more deeply. We see that our mind goes somewhere. Attachment is arising. I don't follow. I relax more. I'm not cultivating aversion. I'm cultivating non-attachment. A deep breath and just relaxing, letting go of that. It's not even a conscious letting go. It's leaving it alone. It's more a leave it alone. If we let the energy that would normally go toward our object of attachment, and we keep that energy focused on our object of meditation, more and more and more, we will remain there. We can be relaxed because nothing is distracting us from our object of awareness. We remove the power of our distractions by not attending to them. We're not trying to grasp the object, and we're not trying to reject the distractions. We're relaxing into the present moment awareness of our object, which is the breath, if that works for you as your object of meditation. So we begin to make a strong determination when we start, and we keep our sessions short and keep coming back. To be able to focus with relaxation at the beginning, we need to pay a lot of attention So it's recognizing it and releasing it, relaxing. And slowly, we begin to let go. We let go of this natural tendency to always be going after whatever's arising, accepting, grasping, growing, rejecting, becoming averse. Slowly, slowly, we begin to be able to settle into a relaxed, present awareness of our chosen object. And we need to be careful about perfectionism. You see, we need to accept where we are and be happy. We don't have to be perfect. Because if we think we have to be perfect, then we give up. Because it's a training. It's a training. If we were learning to play a musical instrument and we gave up as soon as we tried starting to play the scales, we would never learn to play. I remember as a child taking piano lessons, getting bored with doing the same thing over and over again. And then my grandmother would say, "I love to hear you practice." So I would think, okay, all right. So it's courage like that to see a possibility of really being able. There's a space between thought that we try to recognize, to mind the gap, to be able to see that and not be distracted by whatever is arising. So we don't complain about where we are. We don't fight against ourselves, and we don't fight against distractions. We just relax and persevere. So sometimes in the beginning, we do have to have strong determination. Lama used to say that, strong determination, and then relax. So how long should we meditate? Well, that's individual. Really, it's individual. So Lama Tsongkhapa said, the right time for meditation is the length of time in which you feel that you can meditate a little bit more. Sometimes we're getting in the groove and we think, oh, well, I'll just stay. But then we wear out our welcome on the cushion. So this isn't an objective measure. It's really about even long-time meditators cut their meditation short. They're feeling tired. You just decide. And should you use a timer? Well, it's useful because we can easily fool ourselves into thinking, oh, well, I think maybe this is enough. It's useful, but not to be over-optimistic and set your timer for something that is not where you are in the moment. And it's okay to be where you are in the moment because that's where you are. So it's a training and it's a skill and it's worth it. So we know that sometimes we can do a lot more, but we remember Lama Tsongkhapa's admonition and we recognize when we're pushing too much because we will develop an aversion to our cushion. So the tools that we use to develop a skill of equanimity and the ability to pay attention is stabilizing meditation. It's mindfulness and the quality of remembrance. Mindfulness is a quality of remembrance, not forgetting the object of meditation. So it's like a memory. I remember the breath. But we need to develop this ability. It is a mental factor. And we use the tool or the mental factor of introspection to determine whether we're there or not. So we're mindful of the moment, of the breath as it flows. And from time to time, Lama said, there's a mindfulness fish, the inspector that checks to see. if our attention is on the breath or our object. We train these abilities because they're essential and because we want to develop them. And we do this with equanimity. We come back again and again to the breath as many times as we need to do this. It's a gradual process. So it's not something you do just once and go, got it. Experience the full result. So this won't happen just like that. And it doesn't happen if we push, and it doesn't happen if we want. But it will come in time. It will. So maybe we'll try another meditation. Okay? So just as before, let's bring our awareness to the body in a relaxed way. Notice the physical sensation. And if we're able, to notice them with equanimity. And allow ourselves to totally relax around the central axis, the spine, extending to its natural extension, and the body settling around. Totally relaxed. Now let this awareness of the body move to awareness of the breath, either at the nostrils or at the abdomen, always in a gentle way. And if at any point we recognize we are distracted, we have forgotten the breath, thinking about this or that, with mindfulness, we go back to the breath in a gentle and relaxed way. We remember that we're meditating on the breath. Go back there. If we notice we are controlling the breath, release that control. Deep inhale. From time to time, check how we feel in the body, in the mind. If we find tension, we breathe into it and release. It's a sign that we're pushing too much. Back. We feel we're falling asleep, feeling an increase in apathy or lethargy. Might be a sign that we're relaxing too much. Bring a little bit more energy, strengthening, lengthening the spine, and then release. Like tuning a guitar, not too tight, not too loose. If we're distracted, we recognize and come back to the breath. Sometimes an inner smile helps. Just gratitude for having breathed. Gently and gradually bring your awareness again to the other sensations in the body and to the place where we are. And then simply say, in general, with a caring attitude, I prefer to always go back to the breath in meditation. It's a training. So sometimes the energy of attachment or aversion or distraction is so big that it just carries us away. And we try not to feed them with more grasping, more rejection. Just acknowledge, okay. Not more neediness. Okay, okay. We try not to follow the story too much. So much of, yes, I'll do this and I'll do that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But if we can remember that whatever is arising, we don't have to think about it in this moment because surely it will be available when you finish meditating. These big distractions will be available to come again. So we think, I'm not really losing anything if I leave it alone now. If I give myself a break, like a gift of the present moment. So we go back to the breath. Even we stay 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, we acknowledge that we've left and we come back as many times as necessary. So this begins to disempower these distractions and afflictions. And the most important thing is to do it without conflict, without beating ourselves up or judging ourselves. I remember, I think it was in a teaching that Pema Chodron gave many, many years ago. She had a student in Texas, she said, who used to say when she caught herself out there making lists or whatever she was doing, she would say to herself, back to the breath, good job, girlfriend. And then, kind of. So it really is encouraging oneself. So developing the essential tools of meditation, if we want. We have to develop this mindfulness and introspection if we want to actualize these good qualities of meditation, to develop the ability to focus, to grow our beautiful attributes like loving kindness and compassion. We need this focused mind to develop those qualities as well as we move into analytical meditation, which trains the mind on cultivating the positive attributes of our noble, awakened humanity. See, we need that. We keep reminding ourselves, yes, I do want that. So they're essential mental faculties to keep an ethical life as well, to be mindful of what I'm doing in the moment, what I'm thinking in the moment. Is it beneficial or not beneficial? Take my attention to my chosen object. So we need discernment. We do need that. Enhancing our abilities of remembrance and introspection, we can develop the ability to protect the mind from harmful attitudes, actions, while we cultivate these wholesome mental states and actions. So we still have a few minutes before we conclude. If you have any questions, comments, I would be happy to hear. You could unmute. not necessary, but this is an opportunity if you have a question or an observation that you want to share. You could put it in the chat as well. No pressure.
Hi, Eileen.
I thought that was you. How are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Yes. How are
I
you
came
where
to
you
see
are?
you.
Yes. Please, please, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a suggestion.
Please,
Is it okay?
please, absolutely.
Okay. First, I want to teach just, it takes about 2 minutes, what I call the smile of love. And then, from my experience, it's better to like concentrate on the breath in meditation while doing this practice of the uh, smile of love, because then it takes more of the, I think, this is my explanation, taking more of the cycles to do these two things at the same time, and so there are much less distractions.
Yes, I can very much appreciate that.
Okay, so let me teach this smile of love. This is the practice that brings you from Theravada to Mahayana in no time.
Please.
Amazing practice, the heart of Mahayana, and you get it for free. Okay.
All right, Ari, please. We will engage.
Okay, so upper teeth on lower teeth, the tongue on the upper palate, lips touching, but not pressing, just touching. And then in the edge of the lips, try to make it go outside on both sides as much as possible. At the same time, there is a muscle under the eyes that goes up, but I don't know myself how to make it just happen automatically. So if you do it, fine. If you don't do it, also fine. When you do this facial expression, the body knows that this is love. And so you are in love while you're doing the meditation. Maybe it's combination of method and wisdom at the same time, which they said you can do only in Tantra, but here it's really available for easier way. Okay, if you want to do it even more, try to make the edge of the lips go up a little bit, and this brings joy also. So it's both love and joy, which are synergetics. Most amazing practice. You can practice it as much as you can almost in all situations, except when you have to talk. And the results are so amazing. I won't try to sell you on it, but it's just beyond hope. Okay.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much, because I do have an experience myself with this inner smile. Just making the smile, a small smile, does automatically bring that love to the heart and that joy to the mind. So I like that reminder. I'm very appreciative of that. So we should probably recognize that we have the ability to change in such a small way, such a small way. It's beautiful to have this. Paula Chichester often says, bring the inner smile, the inner smile. So I think that's good. Ari, thank you for sharing that. So this is for us to remember we are going to be cultivating more and more and more this warm-heartedness on top of mental balance and wisdom, realizing how reality exists, all with this purpose of growing our loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, and great joy that leads to such an amazing life for us as well. Such an amazing kind. When we give kindness, we receive kindness. So Ponlop Rinpoche usually ends his retreats or his teachings with go kind, rather than saying be kind, go kind. So let that be a trajectory for us to do that. So as we are going to conclude, to just think that throughout this next week, if we get to meet again next Sunday, then try every day a little bit, a little bit of meditation. What you're able to do every day, a little bit, with loving kindness in the heart. That's beautiful to have that. So this marriage to practice, opening the heart and using the breath to stabilize that love. It was very, very excellent. So we dedicate the positive energy that we've created here today, not just what we've created during this session, but what we will continue to create throughout the week and throughout our life, all the positive energy that we will continue to create the causes to find true happiness, a source of well-being, to be of benefit to others in the world. And may we all find our true potential. So there is I think Susie was going to put in the chat the manual for this course, which you can download. And I highly recommend taking a look as well, because we can only touch on the surface. And there are nice graphics that will help with understanding the various neurological, neuroscientific aspects of meditation. So I'm very happy to have had this time with you, and I hope to see you again next week. Oh, good. We have a question. Yay. Please.
Yeah. Hi, Eileen.
Hi.
So talking about the neuroscience aspect, any particular thoughts about people who might have kind of ADHD related stuff, attention issues? Like when I try to meditate, like it's very difficult to focus on anything. Even in my daily life, I think it's kind of getting a bit tricky these days to focus on anything. And so when I close my eyes and I try to focus, like all the distractions keep on coming. I think like just like basically compared to a neurotypical brain, like any particular thoughts on meditation for people who might have ADHD?
Yes, yes, I appreciate that question a lot, because it is true that it's quite rampant now. It's not an unusual experience. And I think what Ari shared in terms of the posture of love, being present in the moment with a loving heart and turning the lips, having an inner smile, that might in the beginning begin to bring a sense of open-heartedness. So sometimes doing this straight away focus, straight here on this one single object, is more difficult. But if moving the energy, because the mind is very busy, to be able to receive and send love. So here's a very short meditation that you can do as you sit, to begin by wishing to cultivate a single-pointed concentration and wishing to be able to bring happiness to all beings. Ask for help. Allow in your mind's eye someone or everything in the universe that is love to manifest before you as a small sphere of light that comes and enters through your crown and settles down right through the center of your body at your heart. So just warm, small, light. It's not anything, it's just pleasant. And as you breathe in, then allow that light to be energized. And then allow it to fill your body. So breathing in, it's energized. Exhaling, it's filling your body. It's the light of love. And you can feel it in your smile, this light of love. So you're breathing in, energizing, breathing out, filling you with love. And you can allow it to fill your body. If you have a 5-minute meditation, 2-minute meditation, just allow it to fill your body until it feels like you're just love and you want to share it. You can't contain it anymore. And it begins to pass through the pores of your body and it fills your room. This is a very pleasant feeling of being able to send love out with a wish that it go all over the world. Just sit for a moment with that vast feeling of love. And as you're ready to close, bring the light back right to the center of your heart and let it rest there. Always available in any moment. Do the same. Anytime you're feeling so much energy, so much mind movement. Yeah, this is, I find, a really beautiful way to settle the mind. And you can perhaps at some point grow the time that you spend. And you can continue this. This, when we get into developing warm-heartedness in the modules that proceed, this can be more and more and more engaging. So maybe try, see if that is useful. Okay? Yeah. But for sure, most importantly, don't squeeze. Don't push. We have to bring love to the person that we are, what we're feeling right now, that we're okay just as we are right now. Okay? Feel that love. Okay? Good. All right. Be well, you all. Take good care and go kind.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you so much.
Yes. Nice to see you all.